Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Not So Live show for Mad Ship. As always, we got me, Alex, and Leah here to talk about Realm of the Elderlings stuff. But we've also got special guests Julia and Jared, who, if you've seen our other Not So Live show, are reading this book for the first time. And so we're going to get their fresh, organic, definitely right after finishing the book thoughts, and we aren't recording this at like 2 to 3 months after everyone finished the book.
Unadulterated thoughts. Yeah.
So as always, or not as always, though this is a spoilers all podcast, this specific episode we're only going to have spoilers from the first 5 books. So from Assassin's Apprentice to the end of Mad Ship. So if you haven't read any of those, finish those, come back. Otherwise, if you're a new reader and are stumbling upon this is like the one episode of ours you can watch. Nice. And also for anyone watching this on video, ignore the little bear in the middle of the screen. That's just we have a backup audio recording bot. That is not an actual 6th person there. Okay.
Pay no mind to the bear behind the curtain.
The bear's name is Craig, and we do not stand Craig.
No.
Craig's a little traitor.
And he's a little traitor because he always leaves when we talk about Kyle and Kenneth. So you know what? Why don't we start off by talking about Kyle and Kenneth so that, if he disconnects, at least we'll see it super early.
I actually think we should spend the whole podcast talking about Craig. Kyle and Kenneth, let's do it.
Okay. Because I don't even know that there's a good starting point. I don't know if any of you guys have a better one, but I kind of feel like we'll choose a starting port, set off from there, and the conversation will carry us to where we need to go.
I love it. Almost as if the conversation is meant to sail, which is a reference to a stupid conversation earlier. I think I would like to talk about Kenneth trying to get Winthrop to hook up with oh fuck, the names are
Edda.
Yeah, Edda. I think that is ridiculous, and also one of the most hilarious things I've ever read, with also being horrified at it. He's like, yeah, this'll work out great. I'll just put them in a room together like sheep, and that's just like how sex works. You just put people in a room together. You look away, you look back, kids.
Very Minecraft logic. He's trying to right-click 2 cows with wheat to breed.
Really
I always
is.
think that Kenneth needs to play The Sims.
Kenneth would love The Sims. Are you freaking kidding me? Yes, all of you will get jobs and go to college and get rich in Hollywood.
And it's all because of me.
Yeah.
I was shocked that it sort of almost worked. When he said that this was his plan, I was like, Wintrow's better than that. Winthrop will never have feelings for Edda. It's an unstoppable force, which is Winthrow's goodness, meets an unmovable object, which is Kenneth's will. And then Winthrop started liking Edda, and I'm like, no, I thought you were better than that. Maybe it's too much to expect from a 14-year-old boy that he wouldn't be horny to a pretty lady. Okay, I've never been a 14-year-old boy. I don't know what I can expect from them. But I had high expectations for Winthrop, and I was a little disappointed in him for having a little bit of temptation there. Which means I was all the more proud of Edda when she decides to be faithful to Kenneth, which is hilarious that he did not foresee.
Yeah. The thing Edda has done the most consistently and, to the fullest extent is be loyal and, do the stuff, right? And Kenneth didn't tell her to fuck Winthrop, so she's, interpreting the situation as correctly as you can.
I mean, Kenneth just cannot conceive of anyone loving him. Like
For
he
sure.
like the, he blamed Etta for so long for the serpent eating. Like he was like, "There's a plot against me. She deliberately got my leg bitten off." It's like,
Yeah.
Stealing my crew from me and all this stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And also like regarding Wintrow's goodness, I think two things. One, I think lots of this book is about Wintrow trying to find his moral compass after it's been completely shattered, and I think that realizing that he's just as flawed as a human being, and he's not, and like just because he's following Sa or whatever doesn't make him a good person. He's figuring that out, especially like he like murders some people or whatever. Like he's going through it, but also I think that like just because he has feelings for Etta doesn't mean that he doesn't act on them in like a meaningful or like uh at least from what I remember, he doesn't like uh do anything to disturb the integrity of Kenneth and Etta's relationship. So I think like it's one of those. I think he's still good in that sense.
I agree. I think that he got jealous of Kenneth for his relationship with Etta, and jealousy was a bad look on him.
Mhm.
Well,
I
he was
agree.
jealous
Wintro
with
dear,
the
jealousy is not
relationship
your color.
between- He was also jealous between the relationship of like Vivacia and Kenneth too. So jealousy is a big thing that Wintrow's been feeling this book.
Yeah.
I like that he's
He
been
doesn't-
forced to confront like the grayness of the world. I think that I really liked Wintrow originally before he went through all of this development because like how he sees the world is how I want the world to be. Like very, very simple and cut and dry and black and white. And it's true that there's grayness in the world and that he has to confront that. But it's also like, oh, I wish I could pretend that Wintrow was right. And so I'm kind of like going through this disillusionment with him of like, well, I want the world to be that way. And I guess it's good that you're figuring it out, but I wish you didn't have to.
Yeah. It's been really interesting to see like Wintrow kind of form or start to see Kenneth as a father figure, but also still be like, damn, this guy's a pirate. Yikes. You know? Like Wintrow clearly does really need or value the kind of affirmation that Kenneth can give him, right? Of like, you're good or whatever. And at the same time, I mean, Kenneth wins a lot in this book. Um, he gets like the whole Pirate King thing truly up and going. He gets Wintrow more pretty much on his side. Doesn't lose a whole lot, except his leg. He does have an amputation, which sucked. But yeah, like.
He gets Vivacia. He basically solidifies the crew is already loyal to him, but he basically ensures that they'll follow him to the ends of the earth with the whole serpent thing at the end of the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, that kind of forgot about that. That was a whole thing where Kenneth like basically appeared to be commanding the serpent, and everyone was like, "Holy shit, this guy!"
It's a really well written moment because you can see them like she makes it so you can see the myth that's forming, but also you're like, this is bullshit. He didn't do jack.
Yep.
Yeah,
More
but
of his-
isn't that how it always is with Kenneth? Like,
Yeah.
he's just in the right place at the right time, and he doesn't usually have to do anything because like everything's done for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean like the writing at the moment where it's like, and then Kenneth performed his first miracle, and I'm like, shut your ass up, Robin Hobb. He
that's
didn't do anything.
Isn't it from Etta's point of view? Like, that's why.
Oh, it probably is, but I'm
I
still
think that's
like
exactly why.
It is
So
interesting.
I feel like First
wonder
Miracle
where-
has a little bit of like omniscience to it, but whatever. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
First Miracle certainly is like that's what it's being enshrined as in the minds and hearts of the people who like observe and experience it, right? At least, so like, I can see that angle. I am curious. I'm very, very curious what Kenneth's fate will be because he's like from a what lesson do we take from Kenneth angle? Like as you said, he kind of doesn't. He doesn't do good things. He doesn't do a whole lot, but he kind of lucks into a lot of the situations that give him power and influence, and then he like his knock-on effects, I guess, of like messing up the slave trade and revitalizing all of these outlying towns and all these kind of things are pretty good, like pretty good effects. I just don't know, like, is he just gonna die? And then everyone will be like, well, we'll remember him for the good things he did and not the weird schemes he had in his weird little head.
And it's interesting that because you mentioned like he lucks into stuff. That's something he relies on, right? Like lots of his philosophy is based on this idea of like fate tilts towards me almost. Like I have this inherent luck that I can rely on. So I think that like calling out Kenneth's fate is I think it's a good shout because of like how much of a theme that is with him. The idea of like destiny and luck and fate and chance and all of that.
Yeah.
True.
And obviously I can't say more than that, but yeah.
I just don't see a lucky end for him, like what would that look like even? Like a happily ever after for Kenneth doesn't seem like it's in the cards, but I'm not sure what kind of dramatic end would be good.
I think Kenneth is very hard for me to like wrap my arms around as a person, because
Kind of a big guy.
when you're reading a story and stuff, you kind of want to categorize people as good guys and bad guys. We've all seen Star Wars, you want to know who has the right colored sabers and the wrong colored sabers. And Kenneth does not fit. Like, you want him to be a bad guy because you know his thoughts and you know that they're not great. And you know that he's not purposefully doing anything good. But then he actually does all these good things through luck and chance and accident. And so you kind of like just see his life as ironic, but he develops, he changes. And then you contrast him with Kyle, and you're like, okay, well, Kenneth, you're a son of a bitch, but you're better than Kyle. Like, you care about Wintrow. And like, yes, you have weird plans about them providing you a son, and you have this ulterior motive because you need Wintrow for the Vivacia. And so it's not like he only cares about Wintrow, and that's why he keeps him around. But I think it starts as these ulterior motives, and he ends up actually caring for Wintrow. And he ends up like, I don't know, he's never really loved Etta, but I think he does care for her. And like, at least by the end of this book, he kind of has this cobbled together family. And he didn't mean for it to go that way at all, but hell if he won't protect them.
One thing about Wintrow is I think that at least a question I would pose is like, how much does he love Wintrow as opposed to he loves himself, he sees himself in Wintrow, and he sees it as like, it's almost like I have a second chance at myself by helping Wintrow, because that's something that comes up a lot where he's like, I see parallels in him, but he essentially doesn't have the same shit as the shit that I've gone through, and I can like put him on a better path, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think he does care for Wintrow, and that's just a lens by which that kind of comes about. Maybe it's a selfish one a little bit, but I think it's all mixed together a little bit. One interesting thing is with this cobbled together family idea that Julia put forth, like we do see Kenneth like resist this, but also it does happen of like kind of being more vulnerable with other people. Like he's building up this image of himself as this like crazy pirate god, dude with crazy luck, but also we get to see more human sides of him with like, the trauma of his past and like his mother and like this other stuff, which he's letting Wintrow and Etta in on a little bit here and there. So we build a lot of empathy with him. which confuses the whole mess even more. What color is his lightsaber, though? I must know.
Purple.
Purple.
He's no Mace Windu.
I'm saying that he's kind of a wild card.
I think you guys might have a better definitive answer after the next book.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree.
That's just my guess.
Does he find like an artifact on the treasure beach that is also a lightsaber and it also has a color?
Yeah, yes.
Turns out his lightsaber color is orange. Who would have guessed?
I mean, I fully expect the worst from him at all times.
But
So,
but you're saying that he kept defying those expectations throughout the book, and that's what's difficult.
a little bit. He developed, he changed. I mean, all of the characters in this book have gone through major character development, and Kenneth is not immune to that. And so I think he's found that he cares about more things than wealth. He cares about more things than just power for power's own sake. Like, yes, he wants power over the Pirate Isles and all of the people on them, but he wants power over them because he cares about them. He doesn't want them to be raided like his village was raided. Not just because he wants power. He wants power because he thinks he can do the best job. He thinks he can protect these people. He wants to protect these people.
He also has a big enough ego to be like, the only way that these people will succeed is if they
Follow
give
me.
their, will to me for me to
Right.
wield, right?
Mhm.
Like the only path he sees in that is I am a king, right?
And it's his ego, but it's also like we see because of the trauma that he went through. He's sort of like part of like because we see lots of his behaviors like to some degree coping with that, but he's like, I need to have agency over this. As long as I can control what happens, I can make sure that things turn out properly. Like I just need to take control of my own fate, sort of thing.
And
Yeah.
everyone
I think
else's.
he wants to take control of everyone's fate, and that's how he can remain like feeling safe from all of the things that has happened to him. The only way he can feel safe is if he controls everything. And I think that's the like driving force that like makes him want to be king of the Pirate Isles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when Divvy Town gets raided, he's not like upset about what happened to the people. He's like, you bitches didn't listen to me, and this is like, this is your own fault.
Yeah, he's like, I told you so.
Yeah, he's mad that they didn't
Hold
listen
on.
to him, and then something happened, but he doesn't care that they like got hurt,
Got injured or killed. Or...
It's Wintrow who actually I think ends up having that like the middle ground of like Kenneth told you so, but also for y'all's sakes it would be better if you did this, because he makes that whole impassioned speech on the beach.
Right.
Right. And
Which
then
I think
Kenneth's
is a
like,
major
this
turning
kid's
point for
brilliant.
Wintrow.
Sorry, go for it.
Yeah. I think that's a major turning point for Wintrow, because Wintrow was skeptical of Kenneth and didn't really like him until that point, and at which he speaks out for him and becomes his advocate and defends him to the point of murder. Like that's a huge turning point for Wintrow. I mean, they're kind of right. I'm not sure that I mean to say that a huge motivation for Kenneth wanting control is that he cares about these people. But he wasn't like, damn, you guys lost all your riches and you wouldn't have if you had listened to me. He's like, damn, you guys got raided and all of these people would have been alive if you had listened to me. Like, he does care about the prosperity of a town as a whole, including their lives, including their riches. And so for him to want control of that, I think is mixed motives. There's a lot going on in his quest for control. For what ends up happening to him, I'm remembering the whole Egrat thing and his charm saying, like, what happened to him is just going to happen to you. And I think that he's on that path, and that prophecy will either end up being directly fulfilled and he will just be Egret, because he's very scared of that past. He's very scared of that happening to him. Or that almost happens to him, and then he learns and subverts it at the last minute. That's my prediction of
what did
happens.
happen to Egrot? He got cooed or something?
I think so.
I don't think we
think
know
it's
about this
clear
point.
until the
No.
next book.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
we know what happened to Egrat yet.
Just something bad.
Something bad.
Yeah.
We know that
And
there
all
was
his
that
treasure
one guy
got-
who said like, "Oh, I know where some of Egrot's treasure is," and then Kenneth was
Yeah.
like, "You lying bitch." Stab.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that
all we know right now.
Yeah, we just know that he's not in the picture, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And his
And all his treasure got taken
Missing.
and yeah.
Squirreled away.
Well, we talked a lot about Kenneth. Any thoughts on?
He
on
would like that.
like
Kenneth
Kyle?
would like being the
Of
first
course.
and longest
Yeah.
person to be talked about.
What?
sorry, go
So there's not a whole lot. Kyle doesn't do a whole lot in this book, which is, that's nice. That's cool.
It's refreshing.
Yeah. I mean, he certainly makes his relationship with Wintrow worse and worse until Wintrow is like, well, fine. I guess I'm okay with you getting left on an island in the basement. Which seems real bad. That's a pretty bad punishment. People are gonna bring him
we're
food.
talking about like becoming Egrod. Like we hear about like that's what Egrod did to his dad, and so now he's doing it to Wintrow's dad.
Oh shit! Ooh. Oh damn.
Also, though, Kyle deserves it.
I mean,
100%.
I pretty much deeply hate Kenneth, but I do love what he does to Kyle.
Yeah, same.
It rocks.
100%.
Also,
and it's also really funny how Kyle is like, "You're not going to do this to me. Okay, let's talk ransoms. You can't do this to me." And Canada's like, "People keep
I
telling me
just
what I
did."
can do. Like,
right.
y'all, I can do whatever I want."
Shut up and get in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, that could have been worse, right? Like, he could have Jack Sparrowed him and put him on an abandoned island and just let him starve to death, which I think maybe is worse than putting him on an island with people that he trusts and knows that he will continue to survive. I mean, maybe it's better just to allow him to die. Maybe just killing him would have been more merciful. But I think that putting him on an island with people that he trusts, where he knows he's going to be provided for, that feels less like mercy to me than like asset maintenance.
I think it's like low-key a little bit of long-term torture for Kyle because nobody's going to talk to him. I think Kenneth said to have that girl who doesn't talk feed Kyle all the time. He's stuck in a basement where he has zero light. He doesn't have any concept of time, and he's going to be there until the end of his days. Like, he's going to live a long life and then die in darkness.
Yeah. And especially for a man like Kyle, the beginning is going to be extremely rough with not being able to have any kind of power or command or agency. I mean, that's tough on anybody, but certainly not great.
But I think it's clever that he doesn't kill him. Like, he has him right where he needs him, and if he needs to ransom him or, I mean, he knows that he's Wintrow's father, but he has to imagine that Kyle could be useful later, so to kind of keep him in his back pocket for a rainy day is clever.
And it makes him look good to Wintrow because he did exactly what Wintrow wanted. He kept his father out of his sight, but Kyle's not dead, so it's not on like Wintrow's conscience.
Yeah, I think if he killed Kyle, Wintrow likely would not have made the heel turn to be Team Kenneth rah-rah.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. While we're talking about the island, what do you guys think about Kenneth's mother and his relationship with her?
It seems like he still loves his mother. Like, he brings her stuff, and he is sentimental there. A little bit.
I think there's a parallel with the asset management comment you said earlier, Julia, where his mother is somebody who he wants to keep alive and wants her to be comfortable and wants the idea of caring for her, but also doesn't, even try to communicate with her, right? Doesn't
In fact, he explicitly deliberately misinterprets her attempts at communication.
Yeah.
Right. Basically, he has her stowed away for his own conscience and nothing else, right? And I think that's a pretty horrible thing to do. But
it shows that he does have a conscience.
Yeah, didn't he say in his inner monologue that it would be safer to just kill his mom? He'd be like, it would be better if I just killed her, but I can't do that.
I can't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a destructive part of him that's like any part of my past, anything that leaves me vulnerable, I should just destroy it and take it out.
Yeah.
Leo, were you gonna say
foreshadowing potentially?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But there could be some foreshadowing. The mother might become relevant as a vulnerable spot for Kenneth. There's certainly some unused potential there. We'll see, but
I'm very interested to see what Wintrow will do when the Paragon catches up with the Vivacia. Wintrow has had to go with the flow to stay alive. And when he's actually offered a choice or is put in a situation in which he has to choose sides, how strong is his loyalty to Kenneth now? How strong is his loyalty to the ship and what the ship wants now versus his family? I don't know what Wintrow's going to do. That's a tough situation to be in.
I anticipate so on a broader scale with this story, right? We have a lot of the themes of kind of compromising with your beliefs and compromising with your traditions and things like that in order to survive or prosper and things like that. And I think I'm fairly certain we're going to see some kind of alliance or deal struck out between the Pirate Isles and Bingtown in order to, defend against the Chowsett states, right? Because they're making big plays, and that's a danger that Bingtown can't stand alone against. Pirate Isles have a bunch of ships now. They have a common enemy, that kind of thing. And within that framework, I believe Wintrow will have to be a pin between these two parties, essentially, right? Maybe him and what's his name? The guy who used to be a pirate, who is Althea's love interest.
Brashen.
Names are hard, okay? Names are hard. But yeah, I think Brashen and Wintrow are both kind of in that middle spot there a little bit, where they would be the ones to try and resolve the friction between those larger parties. But so I think his loyalty has to be enough on Kenneth's side that he sticks with Kenneth, but still enough that he can bring Kenneth around to seeing the value of working with Bingtown, right?
I can imagine there being some sort of deal brokered where he says, I want to expand my influence to Bingtown, and you guys need help, so I will help you with the satrap and the politics and the Chowsett states. But to do that, I have to have a ship. So you have to let me keep Vivacia. It's you have to choose. Do you want your ship back or do you want your city to be saved?
Yeah.
That's my price.
For sure.
Althea would pick the ship.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that Althea is...
I mean, the ship has a name, and Vivacia, I don't think she'd pick Althea no more.
Vivacia certainly has gone through a lot of change.
I think that Althea, at the beginning of Ship of Magic, would have picked Vivacia. But I think Althea, at the end of Madship, would have picked Bingtown. As much as it would hurt her, I think she would pick Bingtown. She'd be like, fine, like, do what you have to do. And then she would, like, scheme a way to get Vivacia back after.
Yeah. Or she would say, like, okay, well, then put me on your ship, you know?
Yeah.
Like, even if I can't be captain, let me be on the ship. I have to be on the ship.
Yeah.
But then again, there's a lot of good, interesting like character development with her on Paragon, like figuring stuff out between her and Brashen and the Wood Lady.
Amber.
Amber. That's a wood related name. You know, tree sap. Amber. In any case, there's a lot going on there, and I don't see her going on to the pirate ship with Vivacia for very long. Also, Althea doesn't know jack about like the overall like crimes of Bingtown and the Rain Wilds of like destroying the dragon cocoons, right? Like she doesn't have that context right now.
Wintro.
Can't believe you got all that shit last book, dude. I can't believe you got you had like, all of it last book. It was
yeah. I mean, that's just a really cool world building thing. I freaking love that. But in any case, like she's got to find out about that at some point, and I think that if she had that context, then that might break down her steadfastness in kind of viewing these live ships as her right to rule them or like captain them, and like I think that would really make her be like, oh shit, okay, well, if Vivacia wants to go do that stuff, you know, maybe that's not my place to say, right? But also it's really rough because like these ships are alive. They represent the combined murdering of a bunch of dragon cocoons. That can't be reversed. It certainly can't be made right by destroying the live ships. But like damn, that's rough.
Part of our initial to Captain Vivacia is less about like her. Obviously, she thinks she's entitled to it, but she also believes that she has this connection with the ship and that the ship needs her as much as she needs the ship. So if Vivacia, even at the beginning, was to be like, no, I would rather do this, I think Althea would like be really upset about it and probably think about it for a while, but eventually concede to the ship because she loves the ship so much.
Yeah, I think you're right. She wouldn't necessarily need the context of the whole thing.
I think that Althea would accept if she couldn't be captain. I think that she wouldn't accept that she just can't be on the ship, though.
Right. I
think she could be convinced, but I think that she would be like, she'd be shell shocked. She'd be like,
"Why would have to?
We've known each other since we were kids."
Yeah.
Especially because like, there's like the undertone of like, the ship is the last remnant of her father, and her father is really the only member of her family that she actually like.
Yeah, connected
loves
to.
or trusts, and like that changes over the course of this book, but definitely last book she was feeling like completely disconnected from her family.
Everyone else betrayed her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she helped that process, but yeah, they did.
I mean, they showed her the door. She just took the hint, basically.
Yeah. What do we think about her love triangle?
I think it's cute as hell.
I don't even think it's a triangle. It's a line with her being like, oh, I should pick Greg. But like, we all know where the line goes. And it's not for Greg.
Yeah. I think it really is well summed up by, I think Amber was just calling her out hardcore about it in the whole conversation. And you're like, yeah.
Yeah. And I I sort of don't know what to expect moving forward there because, I mean, you guys know that I always ruin the book for myself by skimming ahead to see. And so
Do
I was
not
always
do that
skimming
with
ahead
Ship
to
of
see, like,
Destiny.
what?
Do not do that with Ship of Destiny. It will be bad.
Just
I'm going
read.
But I kept skimming ahead to be like, are they going to hook up again? Are they going to, like, is this going to be resolved here? And I mean, they kissed, but I'm like, that's not satisfying.
So, Julia, you were
Because
digging through the book for smut? Is that what I'm hearing?
for water knife references.
that's right. Well, I wanted to see if that resolved in this book, and it seems not to have. And now
They've settled in some way, right? Like there's
right.
sort of an
And
understanding, but
now I sort of wouldn't be surprised if they just accept that they are better off apart, even though they have feelings for each other. Like that's a mature thing to do.
Mm.
And
They're
it
like an
would be
armistice
hard.
right now with the whole captaining of the Paragon, right?
Yeah, it would be hard and complicated for them to have a relationship while she is directly his inferior.
that's another reason she needs to get Vivacia back.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
But then they're both on different ships. They're captains of different live ships. That's hard to have a relationship too.
Right, that's
They
been
both
mentioned
want to
in
be
the Outlaws of
captains.
War, right? Yeah.
So if it, this whole time I've been like, wow, I can't wait till they get back together because I'm living vicariously through their romance. And now I'm like, maybe it really is better if they just accept that they're better off apart. And it's heartbreaking, but maybe they don't get a happily ever after.
I can totally see that. I could see that being a thing, but also like this is a young adult novel, and like boy, they
Young
really
adult?
This is
Adult.
not a young adult novel. This is not
No?
a young adult novel.
Young adult is Percy Jackson.
Yes.
Mm. Maybe
This
it's been a
is
while since I've read an
adult.
actual young adult novel.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
an adult novel.
They fuck on page. It ain't a young adult novel, dog.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
you're
Fade to
right.
Black.
You're right. Cool. Yeah. In any case, yeah, the formula is strong to make it all be happily ever after. But I think this author has taken similar risks with the previous trilogy and stuff like that. So like with kind of things not working out in different ways and like so I can totally see it. Yeah.
Especially since I think this was articulated last not so live show by Julia, is that like a big theme of this series is like what characters need versus what they want and how to find the balance between that. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember having said that, but I agree with it.
You definitely did. I remember too.
I'm very wise.
Yes.
You are.
we'll just forget that this started by you going through the book because you were too impatient to see what happened.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you fast track your wisdom acumen, right? Like you get the wisdom first. You know what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you don't
Best
know how.
choices.
I can't be hard on you for that because I do the same thing a lot. And I did the same thing like with a lot of Robin Hobb books.
Do you regret it?
No, but well, honestly, because I read them all out of order and all fucked up, a lot was spoiled for me anyways. There are certain times where like I went on the wiki to like find out how a character was related or find out if somebody was still alive, and then I was like, oh, I saw something I shouldn't have seen.
That's not
Julia saw some wiki spoilers for stuff, and it's gonna be interesting when we get there.
But I did.
I forgot about that.
I tried to do that for Ship of Destiny, and I just ended up getting confused because there are times where it gets like all over the place. So I didn't I wasn't able to find the answers I was looking for until I actually got there. If that makes sense.
Like without context, it's just a mess, right?
That's what I remember it being like.
Stuff does get so jumbled up in that book that I can definitely see why you would just be like, what the heck is actually going on? If you skim through it, because so much stuff goes on and like there's so many changes.
Right. People are all over, characters are all over the place.
Yeah.
As established, I'm just skimming for smut, and that's pretty straightforward.
Oh god, nice.
Okay. While we're on Brashen and Althea anyways, do we want to just talk about their individual arcs?
Yes.
Or do we only care about them as units in this relationship?
I really like Brashen independently. I like that he's perfect for captaincy, that he finally gets to realize that role that he always should have had, that he also is a heartbroken little sailor boy who like is addicted to drugs about it. And that's great. I mean, I think it shows that anyone who's kind of like in a flub can end up realizing their potential, and they can get better, they can improve, they can kick their drug habit, they can, you know, they can become good if they're believed in enough. And they believed in him to Captain Paragon, and he's doing a hell of a job with it. And I really like this arc for him, and I like that he, you know, he's heartbroken, and he's, I don't know, I like him.
Yeah, Brashen's super cool.
His relationship with failure is, I think, it's really like, because I think lots of times we like, it's sort of like characters are doing fine, they have a dip, and they come back, and it's fine, but like it doesn't really feel as earned, because it's like, okay, they had their first brush with failure, and then like things are happening. With Brashen, we know that he's already, like, failure has like haunted him his entire life, and so this new like the on-page failure, like I guess session of failure, feels a lot more like, at least I don't know, to me it felt like a lot more impactful, because it's like Brashen's like, which one is the permanence? Is it the success and then the failures are just the dips, or is failure my constancy and I happen to have a brief moment of like
lucky breaks,
success that lucky breaks.
He's like that imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
honestly he does. Like I think that's why him and Althea work together so well, because they both, like, in different ways they have these insecurities, but both of them, the way that they see each other is really cool, because I think that they're such honest people in most things, and as a result the way that they see each other is really gratifying, because you know that like part of it is definitely tinged by like their feelings for each other, but they also genuinely believe in the potential of the other person.
Yeah.
You have to respect Brashen too, because Althea is like not being very nice to him for a lot of the first book, like brushing him off and rejecting him, and he like really loves her, wants to be with her, whether he recognizes that he loves her or not, but he genuinely wants to help her and help her family without an ulterior motive. Like, he's not thinking like, oh, maybe if I get Vivacia back, Althea will fuck me again. Like, he just wants to help them.
Yeah.
And
in some part that might be coming from that place of like, you know, maybe I can be redeemed through this good act a little bit. Like he does not think highly of himself often.
Right. He has a little bit of Fitz syndrome in that regard.
For sure.
They both have a horrible
drug
substance abuse problem. Yeah.
Brashen is like way more mature and way more capable than Fitz is.
Yeah, that's because he's 28
Brashen's
instead of 18.
Also, like, way older than Fitz in the trilogy we just read.
Yeah.
But I think in reality, though, they are like of a similar age, aren't they?
Brashen's like, no, Brashen's 10 years older. Or no, actually, wait. Sorry, no, they're similar age in terms of like,
Not
Like,
when the books are
concurrently.
like
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
at the end of Assassin's Quest. They're the same age, but in the world, like at this time, I think they're like the same age. 'Cause I think Fitz is still aging when all of this events go on.
I think
He is.
Brashen is like 4 to 6 years older than Fitz, but about the same age.
So
Robin Hobb does not help.
Because how long ago did they mentioned how long ago the war in the duchies ended, right? It's like 4 years or something,
They
right?
say a few years, yeah. So Brashen
Yeah.
might be a little bit older than Fitz, yeah.
so then
'Cause I
Fitz and
think by the end
Althea
of
are closer in age.
Yeah, yeah.
I think by the end of Assassin's Quest, Fitz is like 19,
Mhm.
20,
God. Eesh.
right? All that happens to him from like when does how old is he in the bulk of the first book? Like 14?
6.
Yeah.
He grows from 6 to 13, and then he's 13 for most of the book.
And then
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
God, especially in the third book, like this kid is hard boiled as hell. Like he's like contemplating the morality and situation of having a child that he can't go see, and it's like, what the hell?
He's like 19 years old.
Yeah.
And he's
And
still
he
like
already died and came back to life. Like he's
Yeah.
been through a lot.
He's a
Mhm.
baby.
Yeah. Golly. I guess that contributes to people underestimating him though, and being a good spy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an average spy.
He did a lot of good work in the time where basically the book was like nothing interesting is happening, but he's doing spy stuff. You know?
I think
Yeah,
he was only
Whenever he's on
Night Eyes
page,
was
he's
with
screwing
him.
up somehow.
When Night
That's
Eyes
the
left,
interesting
everything
narrative.
went to shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fitz is not that competent.
Fitz
Alone.
is good when someone else tells him what to do, or when he like is in so much of a frenzy that he's not thinking about it.
Well, he's such a wolf that he needs a pack. Like he can't be a lone wolf. He needs a pack.
Which is also, I think, being a spy is such like a shit job for him, because being a spy is all about being a lone wolf.
Being alone. Right.
But, yeah. Yeah, the original trilogy is pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
We
know,
always
I
end up
think
talking about
somehow-
those books in Fitz.
Right.
It
Somehow
has
we
to
always
happen.
get back to Fitz.
Fitz is just
inevitable.
like that trilogy is like it's so good for a reason. It's just so magnetic. And
Mhm.
we'll get to see them again soon. Just one more book, guys. Just one more book.
We can do this.
I don't want to talk about that book yet.
Okay, let's
I'm not ready.
Let's talk
looping
about
back around.
Malta.
Yeah, let's talk about Malta.
Yes.
What do you thoughts?
Thoughts?
I hated Malta. And by the end of the book, I'm like, okay, yeah, she's all right.
Yeah.
I stand Malta.
Me
Malta's
too.
I stand by hating her at the beginning, though.
No, yeah, for sure. She's
absolutely.
she's written to have a beautiful redemption arc.
She does a lot of
that,
character development.
We know through like narration that like Brashen used to be like a huge troublemaker and make tons of mistakes and stuff like that, and then like is still making mistakes, but is a super cool guy now. Whereas Malta, we're seeing her like fail to navigate so many situations in a graceful way that makes like me respect her, and then eventually she kind of starts to come out of it, and it's great. But oh boy, is bad. It's not great. Just between her and what's his name, not the Tanira boy, but like
Right?
there's Rain, and then there's the other kid.
Oh, Serwyn.
Serwyn Trapp.
Brashen's little brother.
Mhm.
God.
And she like flirts with Brashen, and you're like, what
I know,
are
it's
you
so gross.
doing?
Oh yeah, it's like
So gross.
see, Serwyn's a boy, but Brashen's a man.
Oh,
There's also like that weird section where she's internally like slut shaming Althea, but she's also like, I wonder how like Brashen kisses on Althea or like something, and it's like, girl.
Right. Yeah. She's just addicted to the chase, I guess, you know, like
She needs to be bonked and sent to horny jail.
She's a boy crazy 12-year-old for sure.
Yeah.
Because
And there's so much of like society's failings that reflect on Malta. Yeah.
What was that on it?
I think that like so much of like what of Malta's like stupidity is like a reflection more of like how much Bingtown society is fucked up and less about like she's crazy, but I think you can trace the seed of lots of her views or whatever to like Bingtown being really whack.
Well, she is an incredible perspective character.
Having Kyle as a father.
Yeah.
That too.
Also,
Kyle,
like extreme lack of parenting. Like they literally just like hand her off to the Rach and whatever the other nanny's name is, and then like she's obviously smart and like quick and getting bored, and instead of like giving her challenges and like talking to her like the way she can comprehend, they're like, be a little baby child and like take care of your brother. Like they just ignore her, and she is like that kid in school where the class is too easy for them, so they start being naughty. Like that is Malta.
I am team defend Malta all the way from the beginning of Ship of Magic. I was defending her.
I think that she's just a product of her environment.
I think upon rereads you can see that like it's really a failing of Kefria, Ronica, and Kyle that make Malta who she is. And like what she is at the beginning.
But on her first read, it's like she's unpleasant as all hell.
Oh yeah, on the first read she sucks and you want her to die.
Yep. I hated her a lot on the first read. The second read, I felt really bad for her.
Yeah.
Same.
But I think it's compelling that, you know, the first time you read it, as I just did, you hate her. But like I was very staunch in my hatred of her, and so it really speaks to the power of her redemption arc that I don't anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that redemption arc is done so well in saying like, oh well, you wanted a boy? Here's a very political one. And which is going to make you care about what's happening to the town and what's happening to your family. Like you care about being kissed, and we will give you a boy who wants to do that. But it comes with growing up. You have to grow up in order to have what you want. And she says, damn, fine.
And it's at that point, it's not even, she just wants her father back at that point. Like her entire, like, which is, it throws this whole sad irony over everything that like her whole growth comes from trying to get back this father who doesn't deserve her, basically.
Right. But she is realizing that he's like not the idealized father that she had in her mind, because when she's fighting with Rain in the Rain Wilds, she's like, this is exactly what my father used to do. And then she like is like, actually, let me not pull on that thread right now. But she does a little bit. She like thinks about it a little bit.
There are times when she's like, you know, I'm sort of starting to realize that men are not what they are cracked up to be.
Yep.
Yeah. But then there's also the opposite, right? Where she's like, it's like men are not what they're cracked up to be, but also romance doesn't have to be what relationships can be more than what I've seen from my parents. It's not like this push and pull of control, and there can be genuine communication there. And because she was thinking about that at the ball, I think, and I think that was a really like cool moment, like because I think because you can see her like in the past book as well, like putting together these connections, or like putting together connections in general, but like usually maliciously. Like you can see how intelligent she is in that sense, and seeing her through the course of this book using those same skills for like self-reflection and like thinking about all these things. It's like, it's great. I don't know. Yeah, Malta's great.
Yeah. It's always funny to see the people that post on the like on the Reddit, like the Robin Hobb Reddit, that are like, oh my god, I hate Malta so much, I might not keep reading this trilogy, or like, how did people get through it? And then all the comments are like, just wait. Just wait.
Yeah.
We understand.
That's all you can say.
Yep.
I also want to add on, like, I feel like Malta has just a ton of complexity as a character, and it goes to show, like, she's also being used as a perspective character that is sympathetic, where we see her, like, she wants to engage with the new Bingtown culture and like is very influenced by all that kind of stuff, like through her peer group, right? Like how she envisions like the role of a woman and stuff like that, and also slavery, right? Fully being on board, like, yeah, that's super normal, and like if it brings our family wealth, then why shouldn't we do it? And so having a character like that who kind of, for us, of course, like it's like, well, slavery real bad, but like for a child growing up in that situation, it's like, well, that's how everyone is making their money, right? That's how everyone's living, and
everyone's like in Big Town's like
idealized
trying to like
version of what
talk
I want.
around it, or being like, it's indentured servitude.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so I think it's a strong character to have in the story where we get to not only have her be redeemed in the other kind of things that she's doing, but also like see her kind of start to learn the nuances of this, like these political situations, right? And like build empathy for the people around her. What is the we have one slave girl who is working at the house.
Raish.
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 Yeah.
I where is Raish right now at the end of the book?
She stayed with Veronica, yeah. In Bingtown.
In the Bingtown, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're at like like Veronica's Nana's home or something out in the countryside.
I thought they're heading there, but they like the last I think we saw of them at all, it was Veronica like taking her hand and being like, let's go and get some food, she said to her friend. And so it was like putting them on equal footing, and they're like together in Bingtown at the moment when the kids and like Kefria leave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that because it's the first time that Veronica ever refers to Rach as just something other than like
the servant
or the servant. Yeah, she says like
or like Davad's shame.
Friend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh geez, Davad.
Oh yeah.
Davad restarts. Yeah.
Let's talk about him while we still can, because we won't be able to next time. Bozo.
Yeah, he gave me a really bad secondhand embarrassment. I hated reading every scene he was in.
He was so cringy.
He was bad. You know, I realized way too late that his last name is Restart. And I'm like, oh, because he wants to restart Bingtown with new traders. That's why he has that last name. Oh.
I don't think we ever put that together in any of the episodes. So
wants to restart Bingtown.
I always just called him
New Beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he represents new traders, which is why he's a trader.
He's a trader. Yeah.
He's a trader, yeah.
Yeah. Davad is...
And you know that, like, he always means well. He's just so off. You know who he reminded me of? A little bit? He reminded me of, like, Mr. Collins in Pride and Prejudice, where you know he means well, but he's just an absolute idiot, and you hate everything he says.
You can't,
And I think
like,
part of it is also you realize... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Like, no one can get through to him and to be like, hey, dude, like, your whole thing, your whole worldview here is not working out. It's not acceptable. Stop. And then Althea kind of does. Althea kind of gets through to him right there at the end, where she's like, she helps him out and then is like, your shit's whack. Get your shit together.
But by that point, it's too late.
Gives her clef.
Yeah.
Which I think, did we talk about this in just our personal chat about how Clef's name might actually just be Cliff?
Oh, yep, we did.
And he just has he's got like a Six Duchies accent.
Yep.
I think I saw it on Reddit that someone posted like Clef's name might just actually be Cliff because that's like a normal name, and they don't understand it because of his accent, and they think that his name's Clef, but it's actually just Cliff.
I love that he has that stupid little Six Duchies accent because it puts a spin on everything you read in like the first trilogy. It's like, are all these motherfuckers talking like this?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that he had a Six Duchies accent. I thought he was just uneducated.
Yeah, he's from the
He has a six. Yeah, he has like a really thick Six Duchies accent, but we don't see the accent when we're reading the Fitz books because Fitz has the accent.
Yeah.
So
That's weird.
Now I need to see like what people in Six Duchies think the Islanders talk like, or the
right.
Yeah. What is the name of the nation that Beantown is kind of part of? The Satrapy?
The sage.
Yeah.
The satrapy of Jamalia.
Jamalian.
And it's like
Jamalian accent. Jamalian.
It's the cursed. Is it, I think the whole part of that is
They're
called
the
cursed
shores.
shore.
Shores, but that's I think like a region name, less of like
Yeah.
a people.
Yeah, the accents would be regional. They wouldn't be
Right. Like the Cursed Shores would have a different accent than like Jamalia people.
right.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of Jamalia, do we want to? Because we hear about them as like this force a lot in the first book. They're like this faraway kingdom that control and like I know that I think Winthrop visits there, but we don't really get to see much. But I think this book is where we first get like a view into the workings or lack thereof of Jamalia with the satrap and Cyrilla.
God, so much happens in this book. I cannot believe we like. How long have we been talking already? Gone
An
through
hour.
nothing. Talked about nothing.
Cyrilla was hard to read.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
bad for Cyrilla.
Yeah, me too.
It's impossible not to. Yeah, I mean that sucks so bad.
I mean, she did nothing wrong. She did everything she was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets punished.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe she was a little naive and hoping that it would go differently. But I don't want to say to a rape victim, well, you were naive to believe that you wouldn't be raped. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But she really hasn't had a life outside of the like castle or whatever. So she didn't know that like
Also,
her power wasn't enough to protect her.
her
Right.
options were to be basically raped by the satrap or by somebody else. Like that's the options that he gave her. She couldn't. There was no like. There's
Get
no
out
way
of jail free card.
Mhm.
Right.
It
Other than like jumping off the ship and probably getting eaten by a serpent, but that's
I
no
think
fun.
when you have like a child emperor character, right? That's kind of a trope where like, oh, like they're inept and like people are like manipulating him to get power and like, you know, it's bad. But here we really got like this kid, this dude, like really has simply never been told no, and he
he's
has a ton of power.
He's worse than a kid. He's an immature adult because he understands
power.
Yeah.
Which I think is why he makes such a compelling contrast to Malta after her development at the very end there, where she's like, come on, can you like do something to help? And he's like, no, let me know when you're done. And she's like, I used to be like this.
Yeah.
I love her.
I mean, with how the satrap like treated Malta during the dance and everything like that, like I'm surprised she didn't just let him die. Just kill him.
I know.
That's incredible. Way to go, Malta. I guess.
I mean, no. If she just tipped him into the water, no one would have known.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
she would have had to come back.
There's stuff that I want to say, but I cannot.
Oh, okay. Can you type it in our general chat then?
Yeah.
Okay, I might be forgetting something.
But
yeah,
no, it's nothing like that.
Okay. But yeah, I think that
the fact that the satrap is still alive post book 2, astonishing.
The satrap makes me want to write like Robin Hobb fan fiction, just of like him dying grisly deaths.
Yeah.
I think
we have put out
it's really impressive that like the first book gives you villains like Kyle and Ken, and you're like, wow, these people are vile, and like I can't like these are the depths of inhumanity, and then you get like the satrap in the second book, and it's like, oh,
the satrap is pathetic along with being evil. Like he's not smart enough to be evil.
It's really just like a commentary. Like I think we talked about this in like the actual episode at one point, but like the first book was like a lot like the first trilogy was a lot about the failings of monarchy, right? About how like King Shrewd held on for a long time. He makes all these mistakes, and then in his absence, things just like fall apart to hell. And I think that Hobb was like, I don't know that people got the message. And so in this trilogy, just goes all in on being like, don't do a monarchy because some people are going to be stupid, dumb assholes, and giving them power does not compute. Like you can say that Cosgo is like, he's regal without the brains, really.
You know what's interesting, going back to talking about kings, is Kenneth's trying to be a king. And like, boy, I think it would be an interesting thing to see if he is a king by the end of the third book. I really doubt it, with that context added as well.
So here's a question that I'm not sure that you'll be able to or want to answer, but do the characters from the Six Duchies ever meet and interact with the characters from the Rain Wilds later in later trilogies or later books or things? Or do they stay separate?
If we just say a simple yes or no, is that spoiling?
I mean, it technically is, but like I don't know how meaningful it is.
I don't think it's spoiling. I say we can tell them.
Okay.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Oh shit!
But that's all. Don't ask us more.
Yeah, we can't say anything else.
Don't ask us anymore.
Okay.
And I think we can confirm that it doesn't happen within the span of this trilogy.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting it to.
Okay.
No. It doesn't happen in the span of this trilogy.
It doesn't happen in the span of this trilogy.
You're saying that like a mantra, and suddenly I'm less
No,
sure.
no, okay, no. Genuinely though. Okay.
Yeah, the Six Duchies people stay in the Six Duchies.
Okay.
They also are dealing with like the end of the war, so they're rebuilding. They don't have time to go out and sail and have like fun ship adventures like the big town people.
And Fitz is too busy being depressed alone in his cabin.
With a kid riding.
Yeah.
Fitz is doing.
Yeah, I'm not expecting them to be integrated into this trilogy.
Man, you gotta love
there is a reason that it's a shared world, even though it's a big world. So
I'm still surprised that like really the ending we get for Fitz is that he's like, I'm gonna be depressed alone in a cabin for a couple of.
We'll see. This is a disagreement I have, but I think that for me, that's why the end of the first trilogy doesn't read like an end to his story. It always felt like more was intended, and we get more, so it makes sense.
And they do the thing where he's like, every day I'm eaten away by the hunger for dragons, or whatever.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's like, me and the wolf dream about carving our dragon.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
I mean, yeah, a huge theme of all of these books is like trauma and responses to it. So, but it's definitely a bleak view of it, which is why, again, there's more story to come for Fitz. But okay, we're doing the thing where we're talking about not this book. So,
not this. And there's so much to talk about this book.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of Fitz, let's go to ostensibly the main character of this trilogy, Althea. We talked about her a little bit earlier in the context of Brashen, but she very much has her own arc throughout the course of this book in terms of reconnecting with her family, realizing like what does she have to offer in terms of being a crewmate, and just all of that. So, what do y'all think of that?
Well, I liked when she broke that guy's nose when he tried to rape her. That was pretty good.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's badass.
Oh yeah, and like it puts him on a hook and drags him onto the
And damn near throws him overboard if the serpent wasn't there.
It's very like Kaz to me.
It is. It's a little bit, except it would be a little bit too much touching for him. So I guess that's what the rope is for.
Well, he fights. Yeah.
Have Alex and Leia read Six of Crows?
I have
I
not.
don't think so.
But I have it on my
character.
TBR.
In 2 years, when we finish all of these books, 2 or 3 years, that's gonna be our next.
Longer than that.
Yeah.
I thought we're just returning the cycle again. We're just going to continue forever and
for sure.
and ever.
Oh my
It
God.
never
You
ends.
should read the Six of Crows duology. It's only 2 books. I don't think you need to read everything in that world. You only need to read those 2 books.
Oh, okay.
Guys, we're doing the thing where we're not talking about this book again.
So Althea is pretty cool. I really did enjoy her reconnecting with her mom. I think that was good. Because like they were on bad terms, and there was a lot of misunderstanding, and there was a lot of betrayal and hurt, and like having them, kind of figure out a new way of interacting. It was good, and like kind of on an even footing as a team, towards a goal that they actually can both kind of believe in, and a direction that they both want. Still with some rockiness, but I don't know. I just felt that to be just really well done, and I enjoy conflicts being resolved through, establishing understanding. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
And to be fair, like, they don't get too much into it, but I think that like they sort of like cover everything over with the thing of like, we'll have our differences, we need to talk about and resolve them, but at the core of it all, we're family, and family stands together when faced with adversity.
That's true. I mean, yeah, they didn't like do a whole lot of talking, but like there was reparation. There was repair. There was some stuff. It was good.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The whole Malta Althea relationship was hard to read. I think you end up respecting them individually, but geez Louise, they're so antagonistic, and it's like, all right, can you guys calm down?
Yeah,
Both
you don't
of
really
you,
need to be
not
butting heads.
just Malta.
It's Malta's like, Auntie Althea's a whore, and Althea's like, did a tiny child say something? If they did, I would not recognize it, for I do not acknowledge children.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, what did we talk about last time? Like Malta is kind of like if Althea is Althea-esque, except if she grew up in Malta's conditions a little bit, right? And I think that similarity is probably why they are butting heads so much here, right?
Well, and Althea even admits that, like when she's having like lunch or whatever with Greg, she's like, yeah, Malta is exactly like what would have happened to me if I wasn't allowed to be on the ship with my dad.
And we see it in like the stubbornness they have for like retrieval. Like, it's sort of like, I think if Althea was put in Malta's shoes at the end of the book, she would have done the exact same thing to like free Tintaglia and like do like all like that's really Malta in her Althea era of like, I'm doing anything and everything to save this person I love.
For sure. That's when I start liking Malta, because she starts acting like Althea, and I'm like, yeah, good. Althea usually makes good decisions. Maybe they're a little selfish, but I'm usually not like, what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Althea is definitely one of the characters where like, even if she makes a stupid ass decision, you can see her thought process behind it, and you're like, okay, I too might have made that same stupid ass decision.
I did respect what she did at the traders meeting, right? Where she was really just like, I'm gonna call out this bullshit. You know what? Drag me out. Fuck it. Like we're gonna. And then she kind of does a little misstep. I think I remember, right, where she kind of like makes her case really, really well, and then like stumbles at the end where it's really easy to frame her as just wanting the ship, or like stuff like that, and it's like, well, she kind of does in her heart of hearts. She kind of does, right? She was thinking directly what she was thinking, and then rip. But she riled things up enough that I think, she had a good impact on kind of the tumultuous situation there, which now Bingtown is on fire, was on fire. Shit happened.
Is like
all of the above.
It's Schrodinger's fire. Until we see next book, we don't know whether or not it's still on fire.
Right. And we don't even know what happened to Ronica, right? Like Ronica's just full, like somewhere.
Yeah, I think
intending to leave.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to imagine a happy ending for Althea because she wants to captain the Vivacia and she's probably never going to be able to do it. And she wants Brashen and she's probably never going to be able to have him. I don't know what's going to end up of her because she has very simple wants and desires and can't have any of them because of circumstance. Through no failure of her own. She's always been like, oh, you're telling me I can't have something? Well, I'm going to go do something about it, which is very admirable. But it's so out of her control that there's really nothing she can do to get any of the things that she wants.
I think
part of it, you said through no failure of her own, but also I think to some extent her stubbornness, while not a failure in and of itself, it's something where she's like, I think she needs to be more flexible is something we're seeing as the series goes on. And again, like because she's sort of, along with Wintrow, ostensibly like the main character of the series, like the dynamic of like where do you keep pushing and where do you back off from what you want is embodied in her, I think. Yeah.
Right, which is, of course, that certainly ties into the kind of overall kind of interesting stuff about compromise, right? I do think that we will see Althea make a hard choice about giving up something that she wants, which I'm fairly certain is giving up the Vivacia, maybe both Vivacia and also Brashen, but like, yeah.
I think it'd be really tough if she gave up the Vivacia for Brashen, because she had to make that decision once with Greg, right? Like, he wanted her to give up the Vivacia so he could marry her. And she's like, no, why would I give up a ship for a guy? I don't want to just make babies and be a trader's wife. I want to be on the ship. And so to do that very same thing for Brashen would be a very hard pill to swallow.
Right, but would it be different in the case of Brashen? Because with Greg, he's not just asking her to give up Vivacia, he's asking her to give up the life of a sailor. Whereas if she gives up Vivacia, there's the possibility that she stays on the ship with Brashen, and even though she's not the captain, she's still sailing with him. Though, of course, then there's a question of like
authority.
Yeah, exactly. And like, is there a level of there needs to be like equality in the relationship, and how does that dynamic change it? But yeah.
Well, I think that Brashen sees Althea as an equal, so she would be okay with leaving Vivacia for him, because even if she's on the ship not as the captain, like, he would talk to her about all the issues and be like, what do you think about this? And like, they would go back and forth. But if it was her and Greg, it wouldn't be like that. He would expect her to be like, yeah.
Essentially, she and Brashen might be able to forge something new, right? Something like non-standard that works for both of them, like on Paragon, and kind of move away from this kind of like strict, like, ship regimen. There's anything the captain says goes, and you can't have anybody second guessing the captain, stuff like that.
I'm not even sure that I would believe that they would end up on Paragon. Like, I don't trust Paragon.
Okay, and that's a good thing. We need to get to Paragon, because that's literally the titular character. But
should not trust Paragon. Also, love Paragon.
Yeah.
Also, before we're going to get to Paragon right next, and I realize that I'm going to be being a hypocrite by doing this quick interlude. But Jared, you read 5th season. Did you also read 5th season, Julia?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you, Jemison.
Yeah. The way that Althea and Vivacia's arc goes reminds me a lot of Essen and her daughters, where it's like there's like this period, they're both like children who get taken away from their like care figures really early, and then the children develop while the parents aren't there, and by the time it's like sort of like when there's that what is that reunion gonna look like when
Yeah.
they
Ouch. Mm-hmm.
because
And they've been
in both
manipulated
cases they've
to-
essentially
Yeah.
become adults away from their parents' eyes and care. So
Yeah.
And they're very
Interesting.
different people after that.
At the very least, both Althea and Vivesh have gone through a lot of changes separately, even without that first kind of that dynamic, right, of caring for each other. Althea kind of feeling like responsible for Vivesha. But yeah, that's gonna be real rough. I look forward to reading it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paragon, Madship, titular character.
Paragon. Paragon. So is Paragon meant to sail? Or is Sorry, this is a callback.
I think Paragon is developing and growing. I feel for him when he says, "Could you carve my face to give me my sight back?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, but
he's
But
trying.
if they could, like that, I wish that he could have that. I think that would make him happier. I think that maybe he deserves that.
I think it would also make him more stable, because one of the reasons he's so unstable on the water is because he can't see anything. He's just at the mercy and trust of the captain. And although
Right.
he kind of knows that he can trust Brashen, it'd be so much easier if he could see for
Verify.
himself and know what's going on and where he's going, and not feel like he really has no clue what's going on and has to be told. And he could be lied to, and they could tell him that he's going somewhere, and he has really no idea if that's true because he can't see.
I thought you were going in a different direction with stability, and I thought you were going to be like stability of identity, because lots of it is like Paragon is like he just doesn't know who he is because of the way that his quickening went. Is just sort of like sometimes he's incredibly childish, sometimes he's like an adult, and then at the end of the book he's like, by the way guys, I may have dragons in me. And I think like he's going through this whole like identity crisis by the end of the book.
I'm not sure giving his sight back would do it for him identity wise, but definitely anxiety wise, it would
give him a sense of independence that he hasn't had in 30 years.
Yeah.
But I guess independence isn't really the thing that Althea or Brashen want from him right now. They want cooperation and obedience, and
right.
If it's a risk, if he might freak the hell out, right, and tip him all over in the act of trying to give him his eyes back, that's a huge risk, right? And then the result might also not be good for them, right? Oh, look, he has eyes now, and that now he really wants to just be his own thing. Oh, look, he can be a ship out on the sea without us. Great, he's gonna flip over now,
Yeah, and
or they try to give him his sight back and it fails, and then he gets really depressed that he has no hope anymore, and then freaks out.
Yeah.
And if they manage to give him independence, they don't know this, but what if the dragon happens to stroll along? We saw what happened with the Rings Gold in that one-off chapter.
Yeah.
Where it ended up flipping over and killing its entire crew. So
right. Well, the serpents dragged it under. Yeah.
Well, yes, but he past a certain point he remembered and was being complicit in it. So
yeah, and ask them to.
Yeah, I think that Paragon is going to have another encounter with a serpent, and he's going to remember his dragon life, and he's going to be like, damn, I don't know what to do now.
He was already doing dragon singing at one point. He was going
yeah.
Oh. So yeah, he's
he's oscillating
he's real near
between
the
all
edge.
these different personalities all the time, and it is spooky. The dragon one is definitely rarer because I think it needs to kind of be brought out a little bit. It's drowned in the memories of the lives spilled.
So many humans.
Do you have any thoughts or theories on Paragon's past? It's okay to say no if you don't have any at this point.
Yeah.
I sort of took it at face value. I sort of took it at face value to be like, oh yeah, well the Ludlucks fucked him up, and
well, right. We in a sense of like we don't know a lot of the details, and we know that something happened, which spilled a lot of blood overall. But
oh,
yeah.
what if
I guess, like his initial voyage,
and also like obviously all of them have like dragon histories, TM, like we've been talking about.
right?
What what if Paragon was the ship that destroyed Egrat? And all of the carnage that happened on the Paragon was from Egrat's pirates. And so now Paragon, the same ship that fucked up Egrat, has come for Kennet.
I love that. Because it was, Egrat tried to take a live ship, right?
Yeah, and what if that
Oh
live
my
ship
God. There's not that many live ships. It's got to be Paragon.
It was 30 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And Kennet is what, about 30 years old, and Egrat was happening when Kennet was a kid?
Fuck.
Interesting.
That's pretty good.
I think I just figured it out.
I think you just figured it out. And yeah, like, oh, you're going to meet the same fate as Egrat did. Yeah, Paragon's probably going to drown Kennet at some point. Yeah.
And I wonder if Paragon is going to, I mean, I don't know that this would happen, but if Paragon sees Kennet and mistakes him for Egrat, he could flip out. And be like, this is just like...
I mean, like, it's not like Kennet's Egrat's son or anything, right?
No, I don't think that they would look alike similarly, but I don't know, Paragon's insane.
Paragon's fucking crazy.
And we do know that, like, Kennet hates Egrat, but he's also very much... He's, like, in this weird, like, I don't want to be anything like Egrat, but I also I want to be Egrat because I hate the agency he had over me. So...
And he's also terrified of becoming Egrat.
Did Egrat die on Paragon?
I don't know.
Does Paragon have Egrat memories?
Because blood never forgets, right?
That's right.
I don't know. I never thought to even think about Paragon's past, right? I was like, whatever, bad stuff happened.
Yeah, like, okay, they ran into some storms and shit, and it was not good. Oh, wow. And like, it fucked up the whole quickening process, because 3 generations died all at once, like, some slowly, some, horribly, and, one of them was a kid, right? That's bad. But also, Egrat. Damn.
That's interesting, because on my first read, I was obsessed with Paragon's backstory. I wanted to know what happened so badly the whole time.
Yeah, because we get, like, flashes of it, and there's...
You get little hints and clues, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's always the sense of, like, that there is some trauma that happened to Paragon, and we have the outline of it, but not the details, right? Because there's always this... Because we see Paragon, and he's troubled, but he doesn't seem murderous from his interactions with characters. And so there's this question of, like, how did this reputation come about?
People, like, I'm gonna kill you, chucked a thing, right?
Right, but never in a way that, like, was actually, like, it always seemed, like, defensive, or at least when I read it the first time. It is always, like, never in a way that could actually cause harm to another being. It was always, like, very performative.
Yeah, just like a tantrum. But exactly. I could imagine that, like, say he gets boarded by pirates and all of this blood is being spilled on his deck and it's terrible for him. And he gets quickened all of a sudden and he just panics and he's like, I've got to kill the pirates. So he just rolls over and kills all of the pirates, but also his own crew.
Yeah. I guess, like,
panic.
The pirate thing never came into my mind. I was just kind of like, yeah, like, if things are going bad on the open seas and, like, that, and a bunch of people die on your deck and you get quickened and you're in a storm and, like, you don't know what's happening and you're, stuff like that, then you could feel responsible for the deaths of the people on your deck or something like that.
Did he kill his crew twice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like multiple voyages. They tried. Yeah.
It failed.
So I was thinking the first time was really bad, and then he just like, yeah, I guess I was just kind of assuming that Paragon, like, couldn't handle it, like like the trauma of losing the first crew came up, and like he would go through like some rough water, and then would be like, well, shit, I'm reliving that experience, and it's real bad, and I'm gonna flip over now, But this makes it a lot more compelling. This theory here, which everyone who's read the book is very silent about, therefore I think it's probably correct.
I said interesting.
Yeah, and I think that
I think that's very telling.
It's hard to say anything about any theories because,
right, it's
like, if it's wrong, we'll give it away that it's wrong, and if it's right, we'll give it away that it's right.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we can confirm that obviously, like, I'm giving some focus towards Paragon's backstory and implying that there's something more in the details.
There's something there,
but basically leaving it at that.
I never really thought there was like an open question in there. I was like, oh, okay, we've learned.
Because I definitely even the first time I was reading it, there's like we get like flashes of Paragon's nightmares. Like there's a thing where he's at the bottom of the sea and the serpents are hugging him. There's some other stuff like that. So there always seemed, and he's always like, I guess what made it a question for me is how much like the reluctance that Paragon has to engage with his memories, right? Is what
therefore like, okay, yeah, there's something hidden there, something he's running away from, and we don't know it.
And also like on a meta level that Hobb doesn't want us to see just yet.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, for sure. I guess like when it came to memories, because I was really focused on like the Wizardwood stuff and like the memories it stores, I assumed that the memories that he's running away from were dragon memories. Like I was always like, yeah, okay, this has got to be he's trying to run away from and hide from like memories, experiences he had as a ship, right?
That's also very possibly part of it, given the way he's the stuff that happens near the end, right? Where he's like where he's starting to contend with the fact that maybe he's got a little dragon in him.
Maybe a big dragon.
Do you guys have any more Paragon thoughts, or can I shift gears a little bit?
You can shift.
Okay, because I think a character that we haven't talked about. Oh, sorry. Huh?
Speaking of dragons, shouldn't we talk about Tintaglia a little bit?
Oh, okay. Wait. Yes, but I was going to get into Amber because because Paragon's most of Paragon scenes happen parallel, or like Amber's there for lots of the books, and I figured like we won't really get like a good chance to talk about Amber because the other scenes she's in are with Brashen and Althea, so when we already talked about them. So quick Amber stop off point for what?
I don't know what to think about Amber.
And why is that?
Because she seems most akin to the Fool, but she is definitely not the Fool.
Unfortunate.
Like her visions are strange. It's strange that she doesn't know, like she knows that Malta is really important, but doesn't know how. Like she's connected, I think, to this dragon past, and that I think that she has some sort of vision into Tintaglia and Malta's sort of implication there, and she has this vision into Paragon's past as a dragon, maybe. But she doesn't know what to make of any of this. She had that vision of like what Althea saw, which was an arrow in a wizardwood dragon. And I don't know why she's getting these visions. Part of me wants
her motivation's hard to pin down, right? She's clearly go for it.
Like if she has the skill and the dragons are communicating to her unwillingly, and she's just sort of getting these dreams in the same way that Fitz would as a skill dream. I don't know.
Oh no. Yeah, she's got weird magic stuff going on. Her intentions seem to be good aligned and yet completely mysterious in terms of like what she really wants, like for herself and what she wants for herself is very unclear, but what she wants for the world is pretty clear. Like, you know, she wants to mobilize the slaves and Bingtown to, like, you know, fuck up Calcid and get them out of here, and, like, you know, she wants good social goals. Like, she's kind of thinking of the big picture a lot. And she also cares a lot for Paragon, and I think that, like, all these things line up with, like, yeah, this person's legit and really cool, but also, like, what are you doing, right? Like, what is motivating you to do these things besides altruism, if anything? Where did
And
you
I
come
will say,
from?
I think the Fool comparison is very interesting, because I think Amber and the Fool are, like, different in a lot of ways, but one way in which I would say they're similar is that I think that, because there's that whole thing of, like, the Fool, like, will say things straight to Fitz, and Fitz will be like, I don't fucking get it. I think that Amber does a similar thing lots of the time. It's just more piecemeal. So as long as you, like, read and pay attention to those things and, like, hold on to them, I think you can put a picture together, especially going into the last book. But I think that makes sense to have no fucking clue what's going on. But I think that when she speaks, I think lots of the time you can just, like, just be like, cool, another piece.
They're
And
both
it's a clear
very
piece.
prophetical. It feels like when the Fool was being prophetical, he wasn't super bothered by it. He's like, yeah, I'm saying stuff, but I'm just saying stuff because I'm the Fool. And then Amber says stuff, and she's like, and I'm torn up over it. Like, I'm saying things that are prophetical, but I don't know what they mean. I'm trying to figure them out. I don't understand them.
I think the Fool liked to cover it up a lot, but I think there were some points where, like, the Fool was like, I'm trying to find what the fuck the path is so I can do this whole, like, fate of the universe shit, right? Like, he's really focusing up on, like, and, like, you know, how depressed he was when he thought Fitz was dead, because he's like, I found the Axel that I need, and, like, he's dead now. He's dead.
And is Amber seem to be looking for an Axel in a similar way?
Catalyst.
Because, well, she talks a lot about looking for a 9-fingered slave boy. So
yeah,
forgot about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
he only talks about it like twice.
She talks about it like 5 times.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
Wait, can you give a little more on that? Because I might have forgotten.
She keeps asking people, like, do you know why I'm dreaming of a 9-fingered slave boy? Do you know where I can find a 9-fingered slave boy, etc., etc.? Why do I associate you with a 9-fingered slave boy to Althea?
A lot of the time she is asking it to Althea because she, like, has
she feels drawn to Althea but doesn't know why.
Yeah.
I see.
And she's trying to figure out, like, is Malta the person I should be helping here? Should I be going with Malta, or should I be trying to find this slave boy, or should I be helping Paragon?
Right.
Like,
she's definitely kind of, like, following this
places.
Yeah, she's, like, trying to, like, divine, like, how best am I going to use these prophetic things that I've got going on to, like, drive whatever the prophecy wants. I mean, maybe she just is somebody who is kind and caring, but also is prophetic and, like, wants and knows on some level that following prophecy will lead to good ends, but, like, isn't really sure what those will be.
Well, I think also she doesn't know which prophecy to follow, because there are so many different things that she's leaning towards, and I think she's so worried that she's on the wrong one and she's making the wrong decisions, and that someone else is actually going to need her more than where she is right now. And I think that's what really is eating her up.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's sort of like there's a big picture view, but the reason that, like, as Julie identified, she's so like, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing? Is that she's like, I have all these. It's kind of honestly the way that you guys are confused about what Amber's thing is. She's like, I have all these pieces. I have no idea what the final picture is. What's going on?
Mm-hmm. Also, we do know who the 9-fingered slave boy is. That's Wintro, right?
Right.
Like, she's on her way. We're gonna see it real soon.
She doesn't know that.
Yep. She got no idea.
I'm very excited for Kenneth to start playing with our other characters.
Yeah. And for Wintro to be defending him, and then everybody being like, Wintro, what the fuck?
I think Kenneth and Amber would be really funny because it's like, I believe in my fate and luck. And Amber is like, fate? I know a little bit about that myself.
You know what I want dearly is for Malta and Kenneth to have a confrontation. And she's like, where's my father, you sack of shit? And he's like, I don't have to tell you anything. And, then Malta, like, cuts him or something. And she's like, yes, you the fuck do.
Yeah. No, I think, did you mention that in the chat earlier or something? But, like, yeah, that would be super cool. I think they'd have an interesting conflict interaction. Yeah. Oh,
Hey, so
my hot take prediction is that Kenneth will meet Althea and be like, damn, she's hot.
Oh,
interesting.
Jesus.
Is it? And why do you think this?
Because
she is.
Okay.
Why does Kenneth think that?
It's because Althea is hot.
Okay, so true, bestie.
She is. But I think that, like, I don't know, I think that he does end up caring for Etta. Does he love her? No. But I think he ends up caring for her in, like, a she's done a lot for me kind of way, and I need her kind of way. But I think Althea, he could be like, oh, this girl could be a pirate. Like, this girl...
You think he's going to be like, I'm going to put a ring on this? Is that what you're saying?
I think that Kenneth is married to himself.
Yeah.
I don't think that he could really marry someone, but I think that she would interest him and that he would be like, oh, I could respect her as a pirate. She could be useful for me. She's hot. And then Brashen's going to be like, what are you doing to Althea? Why do you care about her? Get away from her,
Yeah. That seems like an interesting additional love
interest. This sounds like you're like, I need Brashen and Althea to get closer, but how? What if love quadrangle?
Yeah. Well, Greg is out of the picture. Who cares about Greg?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I think that Kenneth could see her as like a threat too, though. He could see Althea as being too smart, so he would have to keep her at an arm's distance.
Especially because she wants Vivacia, he wants Vivacia.
Yeah. There are lots of different things. Like, she could screw up a lot of his plans just by being around. And I think that with Etta, because she just like listens to him and does everything that he says, she's not a threat, and that's why he's okay with keeping her around.
Yeah. I think that Kenneth would be like, wow, I'm aroused and threatened.
Yeah.
What do I do with this?
Time to kill her.
Or do what he did to his mom, drop her off on the island.
What is it say? Asset management.
Management.
Right. Yeah. But he could also say, well, Wintro is very, very injured, and if I had Althea on board, then I wouldn't have to care about Wintro anymore. I would still have a Vestrid on the ship. So if something happens to Wintro or I need to get rid of him, then I have a different Vestrid. And I kind of like Althea. She's sort of hot, and I sort of respect her, and maybe she has her own... She's less complacent than Wintro. But
maybe given leverage over Althea. So, like, if you had something on Althea, some leverage or something like that, that could work really well.
The ship.
Yeah. Well,
maybe like it's kind of weird because it's like, it's like, I want to keep the ship, but also the ship is leverage on you. I don't think this works, but let's pretend it does.
Well, and having Althea on the ship instead of Wintro eliminates the issue of having like a baby with Etta in Wintro. Then he doesn't have to worry about his Sims not working right.
Yeah.
He could just fuck Althea and have his own son.
There you go.
God.
And then kill her?
Sure.
I guess. Yeah.
And then he doesn't need Wintro and he doesn't need Etta. And he would have his own bloodline on the ship.
I think Kenneth would be a horrible father.
Yes, he would be.
Wait, but hold on. You were like, even previously, you're like, wow, I'm glad that Kenneth's being such a father figure to Wintro.
Listen, that's in relation to Kyle. He is a better father than Kyle.
And also, like,
okay, that's not saying much, though.
No,
a squirrel could be a better father than Kyle.
Yeah, and Kyle's a bad father, but also I don't think Kyle never was like, my son looking kind of fine though.
Yeah. Kenneth's fucking gross.
He really is.
Ugh, fuck. Yeah.
Okay, while we're in like the Kenneth sphere.
Again.
Huh?
It always revolves back to him.
Thoughts on the charm that bears
I
his
hope
face.
Charm and Paragon get to have a conversation.
Why?
Because I think the charm is Wizardwood, and so it has all of the Wizardwood stuff, but it also knows all of Kenneth's feelings. And I think that Paragon would be very interested in what this charm has to say.
Has the charm
why
interacted
Paragon?
with Vivacia a couple times in an interesting way?
Yeah, and Vivacia pushed it away.
Yeah, Vivacia doesn't like the charm.
Around.
Yeah, the charm seems very malevolent dragon spirit stuff. You know, like charm does not seem to like to be well intentioned. In fact, seems to want to do some shit that's bad. But I'm not sure what that is.
The charm kind of acts as Kenneth's like check on reality.
Yeah.
And the charm doesn't help Kenneth all the time. The charm was silent a lot through a lot of things. And the charm only like kind of chimes in to be like, nudge, nudge. You know.
It's one of the things where you almost forget it's there, and then it pipes up.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes it really hard to track, like, okay, what are all the things the charm has done for Kenneth, or like done in general, and then try to map that to like an overall intention, you know?
See, that's why we're rereading these books to like figure any of that shit out. Because there is definitely so much in that regard. Tracking everything that all of these characters have done.
Yeah.
Anyways, a straightforward character who, continuing from what you were saying about malevolent draconic intent, Tintaglia.
Tintaglia. Tintaglia. You know, can't blame her. She really, I think she does some stuff that isn't really in her best interest, you know, like torturing Rain in his mind, making him fully unable to do anything on her behalf, you know, and messing up Malta as well. Like, I think it ended up all right, but she really, like, she was out of desperation, just not really doing the smartest shit. But, you know, kind of life or death. And, yeah, awful situation there.
I thought it was interesting that, you know, at the very end there, Rain was like, well, I guess we're dead, Selden and me.
Yeah.
Might as well release the dragon. I guess we're dead.
Well, Selden has been dead for like 75% of the series so far, so like that would not be a great loss, but like I was feeling it for Rain for sure.
Yeah.
I liked when Rain and Malta cuddled a little bit. I get that it was scandalous, but I'm like,
it was scandalous to like Kefria and the Rainwilders, who are like some of the most conservative ass motherfuckers out there. So
yeah.
Right. I think it was unfair for them to say he was fondling her. I'm like, he was holding her and providing comfort. That's not the same.
Yeah.
Thanks. What do you think about like Rain and Malta's like relationship and like all of that? Especially because last book, like there was we knew basically nothing about Rain.
Yeah.
True.
And we get so much insight through his point of view into the Rainwilders in this book. So much so that I honestly forgot that all of that Rainwilder stuff happened in this book.
I think that Rain is supposed to be the epitome of the Rainwilders, and that's why he's named Rain. You can't get past by me with a different spelling. Same thing.
At least
okay, what does Kupras mean, smartass?
My ass ain't that smart.
It's fighting chicken, of course. That's what it means.
So true.
Yeah.
But I like Rain a lot. I think he's one of the only men in the book who's like wholly good.
Alex's face.
Because like yes, but then also wasn't it him and his men who like
Exploded Devad.
yes.
Well, okay, first of all,
almost killed Malta, and then he
more
kidnaps
bizarre.
her to the rain wilds. He's like,
I think Rain tried to interrupt that plan, but he knew it was happening, right?
And he didn't know that the Vestrits were in the carriage.
Correct.
mhm.
And so given that he messed up unknowingly and has been trying to repent for that ever since, he feels so guilty for hurting Malta and her family, mostly Malta. But I think that he is way more like with it than either his mother or his brother or anybody else that we've seen in the Rain Wilds. Like, he's the only one that really knows anything about this dragon history, anything about this like previous city, which is why they need him so much. And so he's so much a part of this vital Rainwild community, but he also has his own feelings and wants and is in love. And I'm like, I love you. Like, I might be in love with Rain. He's great.
And the way to Julia's heart with the character, hopeless romantic, totally devoted, develops a mild substance abuse problem at some point in the book.
Provides arcane lore.
Provides arcane lore, yes.
Listen, has never had a substance abuse problem, is all I'll say to But I like Rain a lot. He feels very responsible. He feels like he's put in an impossible position.
Mm-hmm.
I like him.
I also do like Rain. I think at first, like last book, I was like, okay, so we got this Rain Wilder creep who like is hitting on Malta, and like I didn't see it. I didn't we didn't know anything about him. It was just like this guy is giving gifts to a child with the overtone of "I want to marry you," and I'm like, cool, not that great.
That was a little sus, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they shared a weird dream together, and then there was like, I think on one side it's kind of like Malta's doing her whole like I'm gonna manipulate the boys now, thing. And Rain kind of just falls for it, but then at the same time is like, I kind of see what she's doing.
No, I don't think he sees that. I think he still thinks she's helpless.
Yeah.
He calls her a helpless kitten and stuff. Like,
yeah, Rain is.
He won't give her anything at the ball. He just says, "I have to go. You have to trust me."
Yeah,
He gets the picture slowly, but like
he doesn't see that aspect of her, which I think is a problem, and that's going to have to be an adjustment. But I do think he was picking up on like, oh, okay, well she's kind of teasing and like kind of like being cutesy on purpose a little bit in like their interactions. But I don't think he saw her as like intelligent the way that she is, or like driven
the way that she is.
Or
he
what?
underestimates her for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I think Rain's pretty cool. I also do like that he is a source of lore. I like to know things about the world.
Yeah, like the whole last book, the Rainwilders are like these mysterious people, and it's like ooh, spooky. And then we get to like the first chapter with Rain in this book, and like they're just people.
Yeah,
like Rain's like, "Mom, you won't let me do anything." She's like, "Son, don't make me ground you. You've been staying up past curfew to go look at that dragon again."
And then his brother is like, "Damn, Rain, always staying up past curfew to look at that dragon again, cutting into our profit margins."
Right.
Yeah, because like the world isn't ending for the Rainwilders quite yet. Things only really hit the fan, at the end. We're like, oh, we are taking in refugees from Bingtown. There's some shit that's gonna hit us pretty hard. Then again, they're kind of running out of artifacts, aren't they? And like they're kind of always in a state of like, is doing really difficult, dangerous work, dealing with stuff they don't understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I want to briefly talk about Kefria. She does not play a huge role in this book until the very, very end when they talk about, like, hey, you could go be a spy in Bingtown for us. And I
wasn't
think
it
that
her idea, actually?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Which I think is a huge pivot in her character, because before she's been very like, I married a strong man who's gonna take care of me and who's gonna go sail for the prosperity of our family, and I'm gonna do what my mom tells me to do, and I'm not gonna have a strong hand in raising my children, and blah 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 blah. So she develops a little bit while Kyle is gone.
Yep.
But now for her to independently say, I'm going to put myself in great danger away from my children for the cause, that's a huge shift in her character. It's great.
Yeah, and it was definitely a culmination of her, like, being frustrated with her own helplessness and, like, trying to learn to do more and, like, make change happen. And I think that when it clicked for her that, like, she's in a unique position to do this, she was like, all right, well, chips are on the table. Fuck it, right? Like, guess I'll do this. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of her in the third book. God, I can see why the third book might get a little choppy. There are just so many different actors doing all sorts of different stuff, and a lot of them are no longer grouped together conveniently, right?
I mean, even in this book, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun with the Kenneth Wintro Etta storyline, and now you want to take me back to Bingtown? No. I'm going to skip that chapter, gonna go right back ahead into the Kenneth thing. I don't want to...
You're gonna miss the chance to see Althea and Brashen maybe make up?
Yeah.
Come on now.
I skim it to see if there's... Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
I think... Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the last set of characters we have to talk about is the Serpents and She Who Remembers.
Oh my god, I forgot all about them.
So I'm
forgot about the Serpents?
I'm real confused about that, because it seems like the pipeline of all of this is that you're a serpent, and then you go up the Rainwild River and you lay your whatever, not egg, but you spin your thing, cocoon, and then a dragon hatches out of that in the sunlight, and if you get it before it's a dragon, then it's the wizard wood, which becomes the ship, and you're killing the dragon by harvesting the wizard wood. So what I don't understand is Wintro touched and freed the golden serpent, and she imparted onto him memories of dragonhood. And I'm like, if you're a serpent before you're a dragon, then how does a serpent have dragon memories to give Wintro?
She is titled, like her name is She Who Remembers. That's all I'm saying.
Right, but remembers
is explaining it a spoiler? I don't even know.
Do we want to explain it?
I think it's a simple enough explanation.
Clear in the next book?
Yeah.
I don't know
if it clears up, doesn't it? Or is it in Rainwilds that everything clears up? I think that stuff gets, like, I didn't leave with questions, I think, about the dragons very much at the end of this book.
Right.
I think we can. I'm just gonna say it. So like the serpents still end up like with memory. There's sort of like a cyclical thing going on where they have memories of their ancestors that are passed down to them as dragons, and that ancestral memory is what guides them and helps them. And this also is part of like the cocoon formation, and why there's like memories in it is as a result of that. Like they have like ancestral memories which teach them how to do all these things, sort of thing.
So how are Okay, so
for
I
them,
was
like,
thinking that maybe it was like you're a serpent, and then you cocoon, you become a dragon, and then you like go back to serpent, return to serpent at some point, and do
They,
the
like,
journey.
it's more like the dragons, like functionally kind of, but not sorry, functionally not, but like in some ways yes, because they like the dragons, elder dragons, like impart their memories on.
So the elder dragons like help spin the cocoon and imbue it with a bunch of memories. But is it just their memories? Like, is it 1-to-1? Like, I'm an elder dragon. I'm making a cocoon with my memories around this serpent.
No, I think it's like generations and generations and generations of all the memories past.
Yes.
Because even that one dragon has the memories from their whoever helped make their cocoon before, and it's just like everything's piling on top.
They have the avatar state essentially.
Yes, just all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
except she who remembers is special in that she just has.
She remembers the path that they have to take, like up the Rainwild River,
and she has like just like a stronger. Like I think she just has like a lot more memories.
Alice has like fragments, and they like knew a little bit, but she remembers like for the whole generation of her. She like I think she's just special like that. I think that's just how it.
Yeah.
So she's learning dragon memories. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, the serpents that aren't she who remembers do also have dragon memories because there are moments where they are sharing memories with the toxins and stuff like that, where they are talking about like having wings and like, you know, being up in the lack and stuff like that. And so that's why I was like really thinking it was a circular thing, like strictly circular, where like a dragon will eventually become a serpent again. And like, you know, I can see the layering of memories on top of that, but certainly I thought that, you know, the serpents are trying to maintain their memories, their ancestral memories, which they got somewhere, right? Like, where do serpents come from? I think is the key point, right?
eggs.
Yeah, the dragons lay eggs.
The dragons lay eggs.
Yeah.
And then the dragons impart ancestral memories with their offspring.
I don't think that's really clear.
Okay.
They sort
of assume. But yeah, I think Alex is right. It's not like explicitly laid out, but it's like part of their body chemistry. Like their memories are in their bodies.
Yeah.
And their toxins.
Right.
Yeah.
So the memories that Wintro gets from She Who Remembers are not necessarily She Who Remembers memories. They're these ancestral dragon memories.
Yeah. She just sort of like a receptacle for a bunch of these ancestral dragon memories.
So another question I have then is this golden serpent is She Who Remembers, but Tintaglia is also She Who Remembers. Like part of Tintaglia's job is to also take these serpents up the Rainwild River, but that's She Who Remembers' job. So is that the golden serpent's job or Tintaglia's job?
I think that the dragon job was specifically to protect the serpents, not guide them, right? It was like to protect them from harm and get them through the winter time or something like that. Right?
It's like a combo. It's like whoever can get them there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like so there's a specific serpent who's like She Who Remembers, but there's also like obviously the dragons have memories that but if you remember, like the serpents keep calling like live ships like providers, and I think that part of that language is like I think that dragons in all likelihood were at some point also in that role.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when
I thought that was specifically due to the slave trade. Oh, sorry, go for it, Alex.
I think especially like the dragons helped when the serpents were traveling up the river. They probably brought them like food and stuff so that they could just continue moving up and
especially because we know that like as you near the cursed shores, probably like fish and stuff, like the actual prey that they would eat probably dries up real quick.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I like that double meaning because like certainly the phrase makes a lot of sense of just like, oh wow, these boats are dropping off lots of corpses. They provide, right? These slave ships, right? But having that be like triggering something of like they kind of smell like dragons, right? You know, and it kind of having that be an ancestral memory tie-in makes a lot of sense. Pretty cool. Hell yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Do we have any other characters, scenes, stuff that you want to talk about? I'm looking through now to see if there's anything that I think would be
We've sort of talked
interesting.
about Etta in relationship to other characters, but she really is her own character now. You know, it's cool that she learns to read. It's cool that she teaches Wintro to fight. It's cool that she has loyalty, and it's cool that she gets to orgasm.
Finally.
Finally.
I love that canonically Kenna is bad at sex.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's how you know that this book is written by a woman. Would Kenna be good at sex? Hell no.
Mhm.
I mean, he's good at sex for himself because he's so selfish that he knows how to get what he wants,
Mhm.
but he's not good at sex for his partners. He's never probably considered partners.
Right.
Yeah.
I also don't think that he's like he wants to present himself as like this virile example of masculinity or whatever, but I'm pretty sure like he literally like goes to a brothel in Divvytown all the time. I don't think that he's had like a lot of like partners outside of Etta.
Well, I think
No.
that
Which is like
going to a brothel is exactly how you'd prefer that, right? It's all about that control, right? It's a transaction.
no, yeah. For
It's
sure.
impersonal.
Mhm.
But I'm mostly saying that like I don't think he's getting it elsewhere, basically.
No. I don't think he'd trust. I don't think he would. He'd be like, well, as soon as I fall asleep, this person is gonna kill me or something, and like, nope.
Right.
They're gonna see my tattoos or my burnt off tattoos and ask me what's up, and then I'm gonna have to kill them.
I have to kill them. Yep.
So this is a little bit random, but I was thinking Kenneth's name, when it's translated, should be Stumpy instead of Fitz when it's translated into different languages.
That would be more fitting.
Yeah.
Wait. His
When you
name when translated is Fitz?
No.
No,
Fitz's name when
Fitz's
translated
name-
into different languages is Stumpy.
Yeah, in Spanish it means Stumpy. But that
Okay.
should be Kenneth. Because I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, well, like now Kenneth's definitely not going to get any from like any other ladies now that they do Stumpy. And then I moved from Stumpy to the real Stumpy, which is Fitz.
I see.
This is just a transparent attempt to try to talk about Fitz again because we love
I
him.
mean, I'm always trying to talk about Fitz. I love him.
Stuff. What else? What else is going on here? Any predictions besides your super brain blast about the past, Julia?
I mean, I think because I think there's predictions for each character. There's predictions for Bingtown, how that's going to go. Jamila, how that's going to go. The Paragon Voyage, what's going to happen with that? What's going to happen with Tintaglia, the dragons, and the serpents? There's like, take your pick. So many avenues to have predictions on.
I'm very excited for the Paragon to find Vivacia. I think that will be a very fun encounter.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Rain to figure out that Malta's not dead. I think that will be good for him.
I'm excited for the satrap to suffer more.
Yep.
I'm excited for
I'm excited for the Kefria stuff. Like for Kefria to be a spy, that'll be cool.
Hell yeah.
For
I want to
Kefria
see
to
what
actually be useful.
Hmm?
For Kefria to actually be useful.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. I'm
Yeah,
interested to
because-
see like some slave rebellion stuff. Maybe Ronica leading, like helping with that. That'd be pretty sick. I think that I want to see the Pirate Isles kind of be formally recognized as like actual settlements and allying with Bingtown and like having that kind of being figured out. I think that would be pretty cool.
I hope that Cirilla gets more power, and I hope that she gets revenge.
Actually, you know what? Let's go down the list of all the characters and let's do like a where do you think they will end up sort of thing. So going from the top, Althea, bam. lightning round. Where do you think she's going to end up?
She's going to have to make a sacrifice.
That's it. Okay, I thought you were going to elaborate on that. Okay, she's going to have to make a sacrifice.
Lightning round, dude. Lightning round.
Okay, Brashen.
He's going to remain heartbroken.
I think he's going to fulfill his kind of role as a captain and be pretty all right, but maybe heartbroken.
Yeah.
Amber.
I think she will see the prophecies happen in some regard and maybe panic a little bit during that process, but at the end, I think she'll probably be able to just return to being a chill wood carving badass. Yeah.
I think that she will get freaked out about the prophecies and sacrifice herself to further them.
Ooh.
Kenneth.
I think he's going to suffer
will either be in forced retirement or die.
I think he'll suffer Egrot's fate.
Kyle.
Or subvert it at the very end.
Oh, okay. Kyle.
I hope he just dies.
I think, I don't know how much I'd enjoy this, but I do think that Kyle will have some sort of like, not redemption as much as he like maybe be like regret or like something like where he just kind of calms the fuck down a little bit. This may be very sad.
I think that Malta will free him somehow.
Yeah.
And then she'll realize that he's pathetic.
Let's do that as the next character. Malta.
I hope she ends up actually loving Rain.
I think she started on that path, and I agree that would be nice. Yeah.
And then I think that she's going to find a way for your father.
I see her being like driven, but also like, you know, now more paying attention to duty and like the things that are important outside of her own little world. Like I think I see her being, if not like a leader in Bingtown, certainly very much a force for change and good within her own family. I think that she'll kind of like come into her own, that kind of stuff.
Speaking of her own family, Ronica.
I think we're done with Ronica. I think she's just going to go to that little farm and be done. And maybe we'll see her at the end to be like, oh, what happened to my kids? Glad they're not dead. Or I'm sad if they are. I think she's kind of done being a major player.
I think she might want to be done being a major player, but might do like one important thing. Like to set off something or like, you know, trigger some event. Yeah.
Wintro.
Oh, my boy Wintro.
I think he's going to want to stay on the Vivacia. He's probably going to heal from his wounds, and I think he'll want to stay on the Vivacia. I think that he's like, Kenneth's my dad now. But I also think that he's, you know, now he has all of this information about the serpents and the dragon and what Wizardwood actually is and comes from, and he's going to mourn. So maybe he won't want to stay on the Vivacia because it'll be too painful for him.
I don't know what exactly this will look like, but I do think that he will find that balance between like the harsh realities of the world and the idealism of his youth and like figure out like kind of some true wisdom and make a difficult, important, probably sacrifice or choice. I think that we'll have to see that kind of culmination there from all that he's learned. I also think that he will be instrumental in kind of figuring things out between the Pirate Isles and Bingtown.
Vivacia.
I think she's Kenneth diehard.
Yeah, I think she's going to start doing a lot of pirating and then like maybe also figure out that that's like the blood and stuff is going to be hard to deal with. But I don't know. Yeah, seems like she's pretty kind of diehard right now. Maybe just like fucking up some calcits. Mm.
Paragon.
Mm.
In the very end, I think that the serpents will overtake him and destroy him, and he'll actually get to die in the way the Rings Gold did. Paragon has been wanting to be dead for so long. And I think to finally give him some sort of like peace, some like end where he gets to actually reconcile his dragon memories again and he's forced to remember, but like he dies, I think that would be great. He deserves the rest.
What if they somehow use his wizard wood in order to create a cocoon for like dragons to come back into the world?
I don't know how they would do that, but that'd be cool, I guess.
Yeah. But maybe
Julie's like, it's not my theory, so it sucks, but like whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think I like that.
Edda.
Edda might die. She might like her duty and like kind of allegiance might put her in. I mean, it'll continue to put her in dangerous situations, but I don't know. Like a lot of purely devotional characters end up dying because they do something to save the person that they're devoted to, right? So I don't know. She might die.
She might die. She also might. I'm not sure that I think this is likely, but she might eventually figure out that Kenneth has never loved her and has only ever used her, and hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and she might like defect if she finds out that she was never loved and that she's been betrayed this whole time, and she might switch sides.
Ooh, yeah, for sure. Some
and then she
independent
might
would be really interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The satrap.
Died. Real dead.
hope he just dies.
Okay. Cyrilla.
I hope she becomes I hope she reforms the government and becomes one of the leaders, like on a big panel of Jamalian government.
Or goes off to try to do that kind of change at the end, but like we don't really know if it works out. Like I think she's going to be instrumental in like figuring out the diplomacy between Bingtown's independence and like Jamalia itself with all the power-hungry nobles and stuff like that, securing Bingtown's independence, because that's like her whole wheelhouse. She kind of like she knows tons about Bingtown, everything like that. But in terms of changing things in Jamalia itself, I think that's not within the scope of the book, or it might be like she just decides fuck Jamalia, I'm sticking with Bingtown.
I hope that she helps abolish the slave trade with the Kelst states. That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Rain.
I think Rain learns a lot more about dragons and about the past, and tries to use that knowledge. I think he becomes dedicated to the task of trying to get dragons back into the world. I think he's in a position to kind of want that as his goal.
I think he's going to be torn between trying to figure stuff out about dragons and trying to help Malta get her father back. Because Malta's got one goal, and it's to save her ship, her family's ship, and her father from pirates. And, I mean, that's what she traded with Tintaglia. Yeah. And maybe Tintaglia will end up actually keeping her word. Maybe.
I mean, she did save Selden and Rain from the rubble. That shows some honorability, right?
Yeah, and as she flies away, she sort of thinks about it, like, wouldn't that be like quaint if I helped and kept my word? Not saying I'm going to do it, but like I'm thinking about it. And so I think that Rain is going to get pulled in like different obligations to his family as opposed to different obligations to Malta.
Yeah.
So you kind of covered Tintaglia there. Selden.
I I hope he starts to grow up and we get another character.
Not a whole lot to say about Selden, yeah.
But he's so curious now, and he's really thriving in the rain wilds with his new little friend, and so maybe he'll end up like discovering stuff in those tunnels that ends up being important.
Or never going back in the tunnels again after this traumatic experience.
Well,
Maybe.
The Serpents and She Who Remembers.
You hope that they fulfill their quest.
Yeah, I hope they make it. I don't think it'll be easy for them. I think that they don't really have a lot of like natural predators. It doesn't sound like, and I don't think the Chalcids or anyone else is like, I'm gonna go kill a bunch of serpents. But like, people don't like them. People don't like getting attacked by them, and they certainly have a long journey with not a lot of food. But I think they'll make it. Yeah.
Bingtown, as a whole.
Bingtown. I think Bingtown will get its independence. Maybe be unified fully with the Pirate Isles, or maybe just kind of like we are a coalition of, different kind of sea trading towns, and like we protect each other, but like we're not the same. We don't have a council between us.
I don't know what to think of Bingtown. I think that that's going to be a Kefria thing.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I don't think there's any characters I missed, so I'm just going to end off with the world as a whole. What will be the state of the world at the end of this book and going into the next trilogy?
Much worse, just real bad. I think the dragons are going to eat everybody. No. I think that overall, in terms of like the Wheel of Time stuff that the Fool kept talking about, I think it's kind of like slavery was a big part of like something that would go wrong, that drives the world towards the degradation of human life and stuff like that. So I think that Bingtown not being overrun by this kind of slave trade, and like Jamalia perhaps no longer providing Chalcid with such a lucrative, slave trade as well. I think that could be like a kind of a nudge in the right direction for the Wheel of Time.
I don't know. I think that it's going to be the same sort of thing that happened at the end of Assassin's Quest, where there's like 100 pages left and nothing is resolved, and you're like, how are we going to tie up all of these ends in the last 100 pages, in the last 50 pages? And then it does all tie up, and you're like, okay, fine.
It all ties up. Big air quotes.
Yeah, in the way that it did at the end of Assassin's Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, exciting. I will be making personalized bingo cards for each of you, and we'll see next time how you all did.
Yay! I'd love to. That sounds really fun, actually.
Alex, Leah, do y'all have any closing questions, thoughts, things more that I should say?
No, I think you covered it all.
Yeah, I don't feel like I could say anything without accidentally giving something away. So
Same.
I will.
There are definitely a few times this show where I forgot whether something happened in this book or like this, or like at the start of the next book, and I was about to be like, "Habadaba."
Yeah.
Thank you for your restraint. Yeah, excellent. Well, it was awesome talking to all of y'all yet again about these wonderful books. They're so freaking cool, and I can't wait to dig into the third one.
Hell yeah!
We've all kind of talked about how it's been a second since we finished this book to the time that we did this podcast. That was not true for me. I only finished this book maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago. I read it very, very slowly, like one chapter at a time over a period of 4 months. So it was a very long, protracted sort of experience for me, and I expect the next one to be the same.
Tis what it is.
Yeah, and I think that this one's pacing is better than the next book. I'm not trying to slang Ship of Destiny, but I definitely think that Robin Hobb has a formula of third books and trilogies where the first 60% it's like we're getting to the good shit, guys. Trust me. And then the last 40% is, oh god, everything's happening.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said there were parts that Ship of Destiny lags.
Huh?
You said that there were parts that it lags in this third book.
Yeah.
In what
I
sense?
don't even I honestly barely remember how this one goes.
Yeah, I honestly, I just remember the ending. Like, I remember a little bit of the start. There's like a black hole in the middle where I assume they're like traveling, and then there's like the ending sections.
I'll explain it to you after what happens.
Oh, right, that. Okay, yeah. Okay. But
Awesome.
yeah, thanks everyone for watching. And we'll see you guys, me, Alex, and Leah. We'll see you for Ship of Destiny real soon. And you'll see Jared and Julia in like 3 to 4 months. But until then, see y'all.
Bye.
Bye.